Are you ready to stop collecting and start cutting your piles of patterned paper? Today's virtual card class is for you. This class is going to show you an organizational, helpful hint and tip to get you started into cutting into your collection, your piles of patterned paper. Welcome, welcome, my crafty friends. I'm Dawn, creator at DD Creates Crafts. This is the channel for simple cards, helpful hints that you will be able to make just from watching one of my videos. Are you ready to get started? Let's create some crafts. Close your eyes if you get a little seasick. And I'm gonna turn the camera down, sort of kind of line us up. Okay. Pad of pattern paper, new pack. All I did was slit the opening. I do slit it at the top. I don't rip into it because I store little bits and pieces back into the actual paper pack. Like if I have a little piece like this, I'll just tuck it right back in with my pattern paper. So you can share that idea, but that's not your tip. Your first step, not even your tip yet. Step one is to open your pad of pattern paper, your package of designer series paper, what have you. Now my go-to is double-sided pattern paper because it increases the choices and the options for your scrapbooks, your journals, and your card making. Now, I'm gonna talk as if we're gonna all be using 12 by 12 pattern. I'm gonna introduce you to this organizational tip, and this may not be for everyone. This main tip, the main point of my video is more for card making. For scrapbooking, you could probably use it as a frame for a photograph. For journaling, you could use it to tuck into a little pocket, what have you. Now, this is going to be very similar to a video I have about scrap paper where you saw me teach you how to cut up your leftover pattern paper or brand new packs of pattern paper into 6x6 squares. So I cut my packs up into 6x6 squares. Again, this organizational tip is not for everyone. It may not be your cup of tea. Maybe, especially if you're a scrapbooker, you want yours in 6 by 12 pieces, like these packs. And the reason I do this pack is a little everybody. Look, scraps, 12 by 12, 6 by 6, a little everybody. So I wanted to share that with you. And I do the 6 by 6 because I give these away as prizes, gifts with purchase. I will pop them in the mail to you. It's either, most of mine is paper that's discontinued or I got during celebration for free, very pretty. So anyway, that goes along the theme of what we're gonna do today. So I mentioned step one is open up your paper pack or your pad of paper. Let's get on to step two. What we're gonna do now with our pattern paper is a sheet at a time. We're gonna pull it out and we're gonna chop it up. We're gonna cut it up. Just like I said, we're gonna cut up our collection. So I've got this side, I've got this side. Now, let's pretend, well, we don't have to pretend it's a one-way directional. It does, it goes this way. So ask yourself, am I going to cut it on the portrait or am I gonna make my card more on the landscape? So that will determine how you cut it, all right? So for now, let's just pretend we're gonna do a portrait just for this piece. Now the back side, it wouldn't matter which end is up. I just like that phrase, isn't that funny? But this side it does. So I'm gonna start with the side that it matters. And we are gonna cut, write this down, this is your measurement, when you're working with a size A2 size greeting card. And that's your typical standard card here in the United States. So I'm gonna cut it at 4 inches going in the one direction, and your second measurement is 5 1/4, 4 by 5 1/4. Because what is an A2 card? It is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So this is only 1/4 difference on 2 of our sides. That's it, just 2 of our sides. I'm making sure you can see when I cut. All right, so what you would do is just finish up. There's my 4, come back 4 1/4. And you're gonna finish up your entire page, your entire pack. this very way. The nice thing is by doing the 4 inches, this is 12 by 12, so going all the way across, you're gonna get 4 pieces. And then we're just gonna have some little tails, some little bitty pieces at the end, because now we're doing 5 1/2. No, I'm so sorry, 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. So let's see exactly how big our little piece winds up. There's our 5 1/4. So this is our itty bitty piece, and let's see. So that winds up to be 1 1/2, all right? And if you can do higher math, then go ahead and cut it across so you've got your margin first, and it would be one long strip, 1 1/2 by 12. So that's an option for you as far as cutting as well. But the main takeaway, the main tip that we're going to work with today is cutting layers for your base cards into cutting your pattern paper into pieces of 4 by 5 1/4, and then we're going to store them like I do my 6 by 6 in a cellophane, if you will, together, so that when we go to make a card, we just pull out our layers, our pattern paper layers. Awesome. So let me put that right there for a minute, because I have got some samples for you that I wanted to play with. And I've got 5 different steps. So let me pull this out, and let's do step 1 first. And I'll just give you some ideas for some cards, not some actual cards. So this particular one, this is all now going to be step 3. Right now during step 3, I'm going to give you 5, count them, 5 different ways. Once you've got your stack, your collection of your layers, your designer series paper layers, this is going to be 5 different ways to cut it up and use it for your greeting cards. So the first way to cut is, this is what? 4 inches this way if we're cutting it on the portrait. So we're going to chop it in half at 2 inches. Now you can either use both of these on one card, or you now have enough for 2 cards. So I have a base here. I have cut up some solid paper that coordinates. And the nice thing about Stampin' Up, and this is Stampin' Up, is look how matchy-matchy everything is, and that's just what I wanted. The mint macaron matches the petal pink, matches the designer series paper. And how cute is that? So this is card option number 1, and you could make 2 cards of the same thing. Now, if you wanted to come in with, on top of that, we got Easter coming up. So we've got, there we go. We've got either the macaron hearts, or I could come in and put the peach background behind it, but I've got my sentiment that could go down here. It could go up here. We could add bling, we could add a ribbon, but the main takeaway I wanted for you with your step 1 of your step 3, your cutting variation 1, is just chop it in half. So that's idea number 1. Now for your hearts, it's a pack of 2 punches. 1 is the smaller, and the 2 is a hint larger, and it's ruffled scallops, whatever we want to call it, that makes the pretty scallops. And then the heart, you could do in a solid color, leave it plain, or you could stack a sentiment. And I'm going to share the stamp set with you, because looky, this particular stamp set I'm using uses Easter blessings and Happy Mother's Day. What? You can use this stamp set starting now and take it through the end of May. What is that stamp set? It's called Daffodil Daydream. And this is what it looks like. And guess what? This is the very set I'm using for my April card class. So if you want to craft along with me in April, this is the stamp set you'll want to order. It's only $23. And I'll have a link for my online store in the description section. Why am I talking about Stampin' Up? Well, all my craft supplies used in this video and all my videos are Stampin' Up products. Yes, I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. In the description section, you'll find the ordering link for the supplies. Plus, when you order with me, I'm going to mail you some thank you gifts like card kits, bling, 6 by 6 packs of paper, fun stuff. Just as my thank you for choosing me. Now, let's get on to variation 2 of our step 3, to cut some more of our same size, if you're just tuning in, 4 by 5 1/4 layers for your A2 cards, pattern paper. So this one, what are we gonna do? We're going to slide this over a little, cut it on a diagonal. So let's match up, corner on the bottom, corner on the top. Cut it right on a diagonal. Now again, it gives you 2 pieces. This will make 2 cards. So I've got some balmy blue for my base. I've just got my basic white. And then we could come right in here with our angle and then stamp a sentiment up at the top. Or come in with our heart, what have you, since it's got the hearts, and stick it right in there. I like hearts for more than just Valentine's Day, don't you? And how super sweet to have hearts for Mother's Day. But this is your technique 2. I keep wanting to say step. Technique 2 for your cutting up of your layers. So, technique 3, I've got a base, got some solid, and I've got another piece of pattern paper. Look, 2-sided. So guess what? You've got 2 options here because you have this side or you have this side. So this time we're going to cut this in half as well. However, we're going to cut it on the horizontal and cut it in half again, which this is 5 1/4. So we're going to come in at 2 and, let me check my measurements, 2 and 5/8. So there's my 2 1/2, there's my 2 and 5/8. So I just cut it in half. So again, this will now make 2 cards. So we can just line this up, layer it up, and then layer it up on white. You could come in with a green base, the petal pink base. You can add your heart. You can stamp right on this, but this gives you another option. Now, why are we talking about not just an organizational tip for making layers? I really want in this series to teach you how to use your paper by cutting it up and give you options for making different styles of cards. And think of it this way. Who collected Beanie Babies back in the day? Or you collected them for your kids, or you collected them for your grandkids, Beanie Babies. We didn't use them, didn't let the kids play with them because we thought we could sell them for the big bucks, didn't we? But now I'm donating them to anyone that just needs a child's toy. I'm giving them to my grandkids. I'm trying to get rid of them. But I didn't use them at the time I was collecting them. How about Grandma's China? We weren't allowed to use it. She didn't serve on it. It was only for, not just company, we're company before family. It was for special occasions. Well, I don't want you saving your pattern paper, your designer series paper, just for a special occasion. I want you to feel free to use it. Dive into it, cut it up. So our technique number 4 is to cut up our pattern paper into 4 strips. So this is 4 inches this way, and this pattern goes in one direction. So I'm going to keep it going this way, but let's cut it at 1-inch intervals because that'll be even, Steven, and give us the 4 inches. Everything's going to be nice and symmetrical, whether we use it or not. Here comes strip. Oh, I want it going this way, so there I go. That's a little trick. I showed it in one video, but I take for granted. If your paper trimmer has a little lip to it, an edge, line your paper against the edge and then push your cutting blade into the edge. It gives more stability to your paper and your paper won't move as much. You'll just get a cleaner, crisper cut. So now we've got the 4 strips. I cut my sweet sorbet the same size as the layers because I wanted some options. So you can come in and line her up if you want some spaces here. You don't have to use a layer, and maybe you have 4. Maybe you want to use all 4 and just have little bitties in the middle, or maybe you just want to use 3, 1 in the middle, and then you've got your 4th. It is not sliding, they're sticking because I don't want to tape it down. And then on the inside, you can use this piece for decorating. We could come in and just adhere this down on the inside, all right? So this gives you another option for cutting your 4 by 5 1/4 layers. Now, here comes your last but not least technique, which is technique number 5 for cutting up your designer series paper, 4 by 5 1/4 layers. And I'm repeating that in case somebody's just now tuning in. We're going to cut it into squares. So we've got our 4 by 4. Let's cut it into 2 by 2 squares. So I just cut it in half by 2. We're going to have some left over. Yeah, we are. So there's a 2-incher. There's a 2-incher, and you got a little baby scrap. We can make something else out of it. This is 1 1/4 scrap. Okay, now I got to measure it by 2. But you can use that somewhere else. Just tuck it right back into the package for your 12 by 12 if you're not cutting it all up all at once, which for the sake of this video, I recommend that you do. Tell me in the comment section, how do you store your pattern paper? How do you store your cardstock? Let me know that. So now we've got our, let me make sure I cut it correctly, 2 by 2 squares. So we could go ahead and line her up, get some little angles going like this. Just make it stinking cute. That's cute, don't you think, to overlap it a little bitty bit? I keep having to lick my fingers to make my little paper stick because I'm not gluing it down, but I just want to give you a rough idea. Come in with our mint macaron and mint something, whatever my little paper is, and then the Happy Mother's Day. Or again, you could come in and just use 2 of your 4 squares and use the other 2 for another card. What do you think? Did you have a good time? Did you learn something? Go like this. Boop, hit the like button. Let me know that you had a good time and this was helpful to ya. So that is it in a nutshell. This pretty pattern paper, you'll probably want the name of it. It is Country Floral Lane. In case you can't live without it, look at that. What? This is so cute. You could cut in layers. There's a layer, the bicycles, the other layer's another layer as far as little strips and stripes. So, what do you think? What do you think? For more videos just like this one, all you gotta do is hit the subscribe button. I want you to be able to find me again. I hope you had fun. I hope you had a good time. I hope this was helpful. I'm gonna turn the camera up now so that we can say goodbye. And turning you up, I want you to remember the 3 things. I want you to remember to watch either this playlist about, what's this one called? Cutting up your collection of pattern paper. There's another one called using both sides of your pattern paper. I'm going to say they're equally good as far as how to use pattern paper. So watch one of those 2 playlists. I think you'll like that for your very next video. I want you also to remember to leave me a comment how you store your pattern paper, and to check out the description section for the ordering link. If you fall in love with something, plus you'll earn and receive the March card kit. Go on to the, oh God, what's it called? Anyway, there's a section on top, community button, and you'll see a picture of this month's card kits. And last but not least, if you're not already a subscriber, I'm praying you choose to subscribe. Come back and see me again, you guys. Bye now.